All right, good morning. I'm here with Simone Williams. Simone, thank you so much for spending part of your day with me. You graduated in the summer of 2024, correct?
Correct. And thanks for inviting me to share my experience because the WSIP program I consider to have been one of the highlights of my time at University of Arizona. So I'm always glad to talk about the experience I had.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We appreciate your kind words. Can you talk a little bit about what you have been doing since graduation in terms of research or writing or both?
Right. So since graduation, I took the option of completing my dissertation with the three paper option.
Mhm.
And I also chose to complete the dissertation before publishing. So since finishing in August, I have been busy trying to get my papers submitted. I've submitted one and I'm in the process of responding to reviews from that one and submitting a second. So my target is to have three of the four papers that I seek to publish submitted and having made good progress towards publication by the end of the year. So even though I've finished, I've had a very busy writing schedule, which I'm happy about. And I one of the things that I recognize is that I enjoy writing now, and I'm not as stressed about writing because of that experience and support I have had from being part of the WSIP program. So now I feel confident in my writing, and I no longer feel like I'm an imposter trying to write, but I feel like I can communicate my ideas the way I want to put it out in the world.
Wow, that's really great to hear. Now, my recollection is that from the very first time you and I met, your writing skills were already very strong. But I think you're pointing to something that's very common, which is maybe feeling a little bit underconfident, or like you said, feeling like an imposter in academia. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, what was it about working with us that helped build your confidence and make you feel more secure?
Right. So I am from a background where I was not taught to write formally.
Mm.
So writing is something that evolved in the background of my other formal training. And even though I'm from an English speaking country in Jamaica, I recognize that there are cultural practices in writing that depend on your geography. And most of my writing before has been in terms of professional practice. So business writing, writing to persuade, to fundraise or to communicate a message or campaign, etc. It was not scientific writing, but it was important to me because of my time in practice and the gap I saw between scientific research and the information needed by practitioners to implement solutions. It was important to me to be able to communicate to a diverse audience, recognizing that the first order of priority is to get the degree, which required persuading persons that you can communicate scientific facts well. But I also wanted to be able to balance that scientific writing with communicating to a more general audience. So finding that balance as well as feeling confident that I'm communicating to scientists at the in the language that they are used to, So whatever conventions or practices, that was important to me, as was being able to speak to a non-scientific audience. So one, I was unsure of how do you find that balance?
Mhm.
And what I also was not, I think, very confident because I'd been in practice for a while and outside of academia, whether or not returning to academia at this stage in my career, I would be effective in communicating in the scientific space.
Mhm.
So participating in WSIP, it provided me a space that I could explore without feeling judged. It provided me with specific skills or strategies that I can use in my writing. It also helped me to address some of the areas that I knew I needed to address. Um, but it played out in a very non-judgmental way. So I felt safe. I felt like I could solicit feedback on my writing and I would not feel sensitive about the feedback I got because everyone that I interacted with in the program was positive. And one of the surprising thing too was how enthusiastic people were about writing. And it took me a while to realize that that enthusiasm um, transferred to me so that I got excited about writing, and that excitement made me not focus so much on things that I thought were areas that I needed to improve. I was just enjoying writing. And by the end of my engagement, I realized, oh, my writing has improved and I'm meeting the targets and doing the things that I wanted to get out of my engagement with the program.
That's really wonderful to hear. And I know that you and I work together in at least one small writing group,
Right.
right?
Yeah,
I think that being in that group was part of that positive kind of non-judgmental experience that you mentioned.
definitely. And what I liked about this small writing group, so one, I didn't feel like I was being taught.
Mm.
I felt like I was having more of a conversational experience with like-minded people. And I also felt very supported in terms of the things that I wanted to get done. And what I really liked about the small groups, as well as some of the other programs, is that it's not rigidly structured. So whatever your need to improve your writing skills or to get support, it's facilitated within the small group and everybody is supported. Everybody gets an opportunity to benefit from the engagement. And you also get to develop human connections that you may not get outside of that small group interaction because in particular for me, I'm in a program that is interdisciplinary. So there is no other person that is doing the same program that I am. So I may come into contact with persons briefly, but it's not a sustained contact. So the small group allowed me to have that in-person connection with people that are working or who share a common interest in improving their writing.
That's really an important point, and I think something we may forget sometimes is that, especially with a lot of students taking online courses, or as you
Right.
said, doing interdisciplinary degrees, there may not be a really tight-knit cohort of students that is traveling through the program together. And so that's really wonderful to hear that the small writing group was sort of a community for you and that gave you a sense of connection. even though people were in really different fields in your writing group, we had a pretty big
Right.
variety. And I don't think
And
we
that
had any scientists in that group either.
I actually think that that's a really good um, component of the program, because I realized after my first year of engagement in the program, I realized that it was good that persons were not from my program. So I was less sensitive about sharing my work, but I did not think there was any trade-off in terms of the benefit I derived from getting feedback from persons from entirely different fields, because persons were equally committed and engaged to supporting the other persons in the group. So I felt getting that different perspective served me well, and also allowed me to know that, okay, one of my targets to communicate to a diverse audience is being met, because persons are understanding what I'm trying to communicate and are able to give me effective feedback on my writing.
Yeah, as you said, you're eager to reach out to that general audience as well as that scientific.
Right.
Yeah. Well, my last question for you is whether you have any advice to offer to other writers who may be working on big writing projects like a thesis or a dissertation or trying to publish an article. So any thoughts to share on that? Any advice to share?
Right. So my I think my number one advice would be that a program like WSIP, because of its flexibility in terms of the structure where it can be adapted, or every writer can find some way to meet their specific needs in that program. And the level of support, I think, is is it is it's kind of just what you need as a writer, wherever you are in your journey or your project. I would encourage anyone wanting to write or who is stuck or insecure about the level of writing to engage with the program. And in particular, I think the thing that worked most effectively for me is I use the program as an accountability mechanism for my own writing and achieving specific targets. So whether I had a big project or not, I try to schedule and keep my commitment to show up at the small writing group or the online writing room. Even now that I've graduated, I am still connected to that online writing group, because what I find is that no matter what else is going on and all the noise that may be distracting when you have targets to meet, if even for an hour you can sit and write, and sometimes the support may not necessarily be to write, the support may be just to have a conversation about writing with a like-minded person. It helps to advance your progress. So the different programs that were offered, I used as many of them as I could, and I have benefited significantly. I was able to complete my program, my dissertation and program, in record time. I was able to get support to publish a paper that I won an award for. I was able to get support to submit an application for a fellowship that I got. So I've utilized the program almost as a constant companion. And I think I have enough of a track record of success to prove that it works. So for anyone who is doing writing, even if you think you're okay, I believe that engaging with the program can only add value to your success. So I would definitely encourage everyone who is in the business of writing or trying to hone your writing skills to engage with WSIP.
Wow, thank you so, so much, Simone, and thanks for spending time with me this morning. And thank you for continuing to engage with us through the online writing room and any other services that you may take advantage of that are for alums, not just students, but also alumni of U of A.
Right. And that's just testament to how much I enjoyed and valued the support that I get. So because I recognize how valuable it was for me, I also see that it can also continue to be valuable to me because I do plan to continue writing.
Well, enjoy the remainder of your writing journey. May it be long and fruitful. And again,
I hope so. Thank you, and thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Thanks so much.
All right. Good luck.
Have a great day.